banditry in the northwest and security challenges in other parts of the country, the Nigerian Army remains at the forefront of our internal security efforts. But are they adequately equipped, well supported, and effectively overseen? Joining us tonight is the Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Army, a key figure in legislative oversight of military affairs, budgeting, and accountability. And we're asking him the tough questions about troop welfare, funding transparency, and the ongoing security operations across the nation. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Right Honorable David Ogewu.
Thank you for having me on the program tonight.
Thank you for joining us. So you co-chair a committee tasked with legislative oversight of the Nigerian Army, including its administration, operations, and budgeting. And I can only guess that you're privileged to be in a position where you easily understand the inner workings of the operations of the Nigerian Army administratively. And you also have information that we ordinary Nigerians do not have. So first, how do you evaluate the current state of Nigeria's defense capabilities?
First, let me give thanks to God Almighty, who has made everything possible to bring us this far as a nation. And I also want to appreciate God for giving us a very good leader who is up and doing to see that the nation moves very well and the nation is secure. In the person of His Excellency, the President of our dear country, Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. He has been on top of his game, just like he has it all planned by telling us that his agenda is a Renew Hope One. The hope is not gone. The hope is here with us. And then also with the House of Representatives as a member, speaking right there as somebody who also is part and parcel in some of these areas you've already highlighted. I want to put it to you that the Right Honorable Speaker of the 10th Assembly, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, also has taken human security and the properties of lives of this nation as one of the most important things for us to work on. So we've not been sleeping to see that everything goes well. And that's why some of us are privileged to be in this very all-important committee. I want to put it clear to every Nigerian to know that the president from the word go has started very well in the security aspect. He gave us a very competent combined security heads, right from the Chief of Defense Staff to the Chief of Army Staff to all the other service chiefs. They have been working in collaboration, especially to the Army. They have been on top of the game. And I can prove it to you. Yes, in times of operation, they have been there. You can see that before this new administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can see the rate at which many were kidnapped. They saw a lot of insurgency activities all over parts of the country. But as soon as he take over the mantle of leadership, these things have reduced drastically. For instance, before now, you barely could travel from Abuja to Kaduna, even on a day time. But today, as we speak, with the help and then with the readiness, today you can fly the route from Abuja to Kaduna, even at night, without being kidnapped anymore. This is just one of the clear evidence and many others. So
what specific measures, kindly hold on, Honorable, so what specific measures are you advocating to enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of our security forces?
Already, just like the President and the House of Representatives are committed in doing, is to continue to give them enough adequate fund for them to be able to carry out this necessary operation. And also, we always say that security is everyone's business. Everyone in this country has a role to play in the security aspect. How do we do this? You know, the kinetic measure is there that has to purely be carried out by the armed forces. Then the non-kinetic is there that involve I and you, in fact, doing what we need to do. These measures can help us to achieve and get to more better place that we need to be. So, and then I can also assure you that the President himself has said it to us. If we see what is worth doing regarding this security personnel to be able to carry out their operation adequately, we should not hesitate, which have made us to embark on several oversight functions to go and seek things for ourselves. And as soon as we came back, we make our recommendation. And the president did not hesitate. The current budget, 2025, there was a lot of increase in it to make sure that the security agencies are able to meet up with the demand and to curb the current insecurity.
You've talked about improved funding, but beyond the security forces, how would you, assess the current national security architecture in the country? Are our structures from intelligence to military deployment effectively designed to deal with today's asymmetric threats? What specific legislative actions is the House Committee on Army taking to improve Nigeria's national security architecture?
Yes, one of these aspects that the House need to, the role they need to play, one of it is, making sure that our oversight functions are carried out properly. When this is done properly, we will know what is lacking, what is needed to be added, and every area that needs to be touched. And that we had not stopped. Of course, security, some of these modus of operandis are not always put in the public domain for everyone to know. Because sometimes when these are put in public domain, you have the enemies of these security people, working ahead of time. So some of these things are kept secret to make sure that the operations are well successful. So the House is working hand to hand with the security agency, with the armed forces to put everything right. And one of the things I can tell you is to make sure that there is adequate funding, release of funds to get the necessary gadget equipment that is needed to curb some of this insecurity.
All right, so when you say that you're looking forward to a time or a moment where your oversight functions will be carried out properly, what exactly are the challenges? Are we looking at structural reforms and legal reforms or doctrinal shifts in how security is approached?
Before this present dispensation, in the oversight we embarked on as we had the 10th Assembly inaugurated, we saw a lot about decays in some of this infrastructural aspect. And then we also saw, shortage in the manpower. And also we noticed that there is no adequate, funding and welfare for this personnel. We took them up. And the president did not hesitate. He came up with a supplementary budget that you see that has even helped the armed forces to achieve the result that we have now. And he's not still stopping, and we are not stopping. Every aspect that needs legislation just to dot the I and cross the T, we are also working on it to make sure that everything is put in right perspective to have it all good and have it all right.
All right, Honorable. But for governors who have attributed, some of the attacks, whether in the past or recent, to lack of intelligence, and in situations where the Nigerian army had said, oh, we didn't get enough intel, how can intelligence gathering and coordination be improved across Nigeria's security agencies? What do you consider as the biggest obstacles to effective inter-agency cooperation in Nigeria's security sector?
Yes, in terms of having a lot of the good intel, just like I earlier mentioned, it is a collaborative effort. This also has to do with all of us, not just the security agencies alone. I can give you, for instance, in my own federal constituency, Ogewu federal constituency precisely, that we are all Igede speaking tribe. Now, some of these inflows or some of these terrorists, as soon as we resume into the house, one of the things I did first was to make sure I come up with a motion to get a forward operation base approved, which was done. And then I moved immediately, and that was set up in my federal constituency. I had now the conventional security personnel stationed in my own federal constituency. And then what I also did was to bring the locals together and then commit them and told them, look, what I need is for you to make sure you know your neighbor, know who is coming into this community, know his mission or her mission. if you suspect anything that is, that is of not of good to the land, just let us have the information, and immediately we'll pass it to the conventional security, and adequate action will be taken. And this have kept us safe. So this intelligent gathering has to do with sources. It has to do with equipment. And we need some of this equipment to be in place. Just like we're in one of the parliamentary engagement in the United States. And I said to some of their forces, when we met with some of their head of security, and I said to them, we are not here to begin to ask for you to give us fish. We are here to be taught on how to fish and to have a symbiotic living where we share intelligence, where we share ideas, to also be able to put our country where it ought to be security-wise. And they saw that point of view, and they were so happy about it. So we all need this collaboration to have this intelligence. I can tell you that there is a greater synergy more than what you used to have in the last dispensation among the security agencies today. But when there is no understanding and this collaboration, there is bound to be failure in operation.
But what we used to hear about before now is this, rivalry or overlapping functions among the military, police, DSS, and paramilitary bodies. Is there any progress? Has there been any progress in eliminating this?
Eliminating, let me get it correctly. What are we eliminating? What do you say should be eliminated?
This rivalry and overlapping functions among the military, police, DSS, and paramilitary bodies.
Yes, that is where we are speaking about that understanding. Today is better. Okay. This present government have made it better. I can tell you, like I said, I won't divulge some information that at my disposal because we are speaking to the public. But I can tell you there is a better synergy among them than before. They are sharing information, intelligence. They are collaborating together. They are moving together. As human, sometimes in life, this inferiority complex can cause us a lot of problems. Some see you as a better person to the other. Others see themselves as a superior to the other people. When this comes into place, then there won't be that synergy that is needed. This was what was playing in the past. But right now, they are working together. And you can always see them that whenever Mr. President is calling on them, the National Assembly is calling on them, they give us the information that is needed in synergy. We have had them in the chamber to brief us on 2 occasions. Because this 10th assembly is people. Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. Let's talk about funding, which you've repeatedly talked about. Because one, there have been several calls for transparency and accountability in budgetary allocation to the defense sector. While experts say we've not spent enough as a country, some Nigerians have said at this point, it is important that increased budgetary allocation to the security sector is commensurate with the level of achievements out there. Meaning, if we must continue to increase funding for the sector, ordinary Nigerians must be able to sleep with their 2 eyes closed. So how is the committee monitoring the effective use of appropriated funds for the Nigerian Army?
The House Committee is doing excellently well in that aspect. Now, in one of these oversight, when we came on board, we recommended for more manpower, like I said to you. This year alone, the Army has recruited twice, and another one is coming. Why? Because the size of the personnel is little compared to what we have at hand. That is the truth. And the president have given them go ahead. We need to have this massive recruitment. Now, in recruiting personnel or recruiting people into these armed forces, you don't recruit them without adequate planning. They will be paid. They have things to cater for. So, if their welfare is not well arranged, you don't recruit them. But the president, the 10th Assembly, led by Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, have really get ourselves, we've been committed to make sure that we have this manpower that is requested to combat these terrorists.
And apart from...
And this is going as we speak.
Honorable, apart from this annual budget, please land.
Yeah. As we speak, we have people in the training camp as we speak. Now, this is to tell you that they are not sleeping. Okay. My dear sister, I can tell you that what we are fighting, it is not a small thing. It is a war.
Nigeria, we all know, Honorable, but apart from this annual budget, let me also ask you about support funding system, like the Armed Forces Support Trust Fund, which, according to reports, is a dedicated funding stream outside of the annual budget, which should focus on specialized training and modern equipment for the military. Okay, can you give us an update on the implementation of that trust bill? What is the current status of the implementation of the Armed Forces Support Trust Fund Act? Has Mr. President officially assented to the bill?
At the moment, they are working very adequately on it to make sure that they perfect everything in it, like I mentioned earlier, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But let me speak to it a little.
Okay.
These issues, sometimes we tend to be very maximizing in some of what we say about them because we don't want those people who have made themselves or named themselves as enemy to this country, Nigeria, to have some of these things in details in order not to begin to walk ahead of us.
Okay.
Like I always said to some of our people, that it is not cheap to buy some of these equipments, some of these gadgets. They are not cheap. Even bringing people to have this training, just like you've mentioned, they are not cheap. Let me give you, for instance, while we were on oversight in one of the engineering school of the Army, I won't mention the location for security reasons. When we got there, we saw the kind of talent we have, the knowledge they acquire, they built on it, and what they were able to produce was amazing. And I was asking myself, why can't we continue to make ourselves producers than being consumers all the time, running out to get this, running out to get that? Now, this kind of fund is meant to support this kind of individuals, for us to be really independent. And that is what Mr. President is fighting. And that's why, to deviate a little, that's why you see he brought about this reform tax bill. Now, we need to make sacrifice to build our own nation, not keep on borrowing without knowing the end. But when we make sacrifice as a people, and then we are able to begin to get to that level of production in that massive manner, we begin to get balance. And then we become a country that we all desire.
But Honorable, so is there a projected date for presidential sense or expected enactment? What are the main hurdles, legal, administrative, or political? What exactly is happening?
Well, like I said, I won't make conclusion on that. But as time progresses, you see how we're going to land it, and all will turn out for the good of the country.
All right. Honorable, let's take a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation. Please stay with us, everyone.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move weigh in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
This is Politics Tonight. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program. Tonight, we're focused on national security, and Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Army, Hon Ogewu Ogewu, is my guest as we explore the happenings in his within his committee, legislative oversight of military affairs, budgeting, and accountability. Thank you very much for staying with us, Honorable. So let's go back to the welfare of these officers. What's been done to improve the welfare, training, and motivation of Nigerian soldiers on the front lines?
By the grace of God, like I mentioned earlier, the welfare has really been improved. I'm not going to state the figures for security reasons, but it has highly been improved from what it used to be. And you can attest to that even by some of the testimony, what used to be that complaint before, oh, this is a little amount we are receiving and all of that. Right now, it's no longer there like before. It has been well improved because as soon as we lay some of these reports before the speaker took it up also and presented it to Mr. President, and then the President, without waste of any time, agreed and then approved that this should be looked into and then increase should be made. And today, it is better than before. If you go to some of the barracks today, you will see a lot of new infrastructural development there, construction of several resident areas for them, and all of that have been ongoing massively in some of those areas. And they are not stopping. More are still being constructed. This was what was not there before. If I tell you one of the experience I saw in one of the barracks when we had an oversight as soon as we take over, you will discover that the house was already shattered, and then a family of a personnel that is at the war front is staying in that place. When it rains on them. The louver windows went. In fact, it was a terrible situation. But as soon as this report were terrible, the late Chief of Army Staff, may his gentle soul rest in peace, he didn't hesitate. He started mounting, all kind of, sourcing of funds here and there, making sure that President see to this, and President was very happy. They started putting this in place. And many of those soldiers and the personnel in general are happy today. That's why I kept saying we can't thank Mr. President enough. And let me also let you know that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has also done very well in terms of releasing security votes to the state governors. They are there to attest to it. And by the grace and mercies of God, if we continue to do this best that is required of us for our dear country, Nigeria, we will get to that best place we ought to be and be better than some of this Western world we tend to run to sort for one help or the other.
So, Honorable, how transparent is the procurement process for arms and equipment in the Army?
It is highly transparent. Of course, before you will get to the level of even being given award of some of these things, you must be tested, be trusted, and of course, know the importance of what you are about to do. Without this, army will not allow you to have any of this to be done. So we saw a very good, transparent work. Of course, if not for being a security discussion, I would have been able to open up to tell you some of those things that have been there. But I will not display some of those stages you need to pass through, you know, to be able to carry out some of these contracts. And they are not hiding it. They will spell it. Can you do it? Because you are dealing with the welfare and the well-being of these personnel whom have dedicated their lives to the sacrifice of our dear nation, Nigeria.
But this is still about national security, but let me deviate a bit. I'm wondering, what role does community policing play in a more effective national security architecture? And why has state policing remained a contentious issue despite persistent calls for decentralization?
Well, it's a very strong topic. From my opinion, I will take this dimension so that we could understand. State police is not bad. Why is it not bad? Because when you deal with state police, you are bringing people who know those regions. I can tell you for free that no one can come to your own house and operate successfully without an insider. So when you have these state police who are more or are supposed to be locals, they know the terrain. They know who is who. They know each other. And that will have helped us, you know, a long way. But this is the problem I see as a person. You have today some political wings or political big wings who will want to use them against their perceived enemy or political enemies. At this point, anything can happen. It can be abused. So this is where the National Assembly, I feel, as people will look into very well to make the law in a way that it will affect no one. It will not be abused. Of course, we have seen some example in some of these countries we've traveled to that the power is not totally relinquished to the state, but has some submission, you know, to the federal. If such thing can be put in place, it can be checkmate. It's just as we as lawmakers, if today we are made to be everything, I can assure you that some of our colleagues can abuse that power. But we still have people who checkmate us, who call us to order. You are not doing your job. You are not legislating well. You are not doing your oversight well. And then we wake up to it. So this is some of the parameters we are trying to look at as lawmakers, and then to table before the leadership and to see how this can come to fruition. As for us in the House of Representatives, I can tell you that the Right Honorable Speaker we have, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, PhD, is someone who is masses-oriented. He wants the well-being for the well-being of the people. So anything that has to do with the enhancement of the people, he's in, just like Mr. President. So if we can tidy up this, President, of course, we are sent to it without delay.
All right, Honorable, before I let you go, you know, with talks of military reform gaining traction, what is the National Assembly's role in shaping the future structure of the Army?
Already, some of these reforms are taking shape already. They are taking places. All right. Taking place. We have, by the grace of God, initiate one or two reforms that is before us. We not disclose in details. We are working to see that the Army itself have some other additional modus of operandis that will help them to take precise decisions at some point when emergency arises. All right. And we are working hand to hand to make sure that the gun does not lose its target. So for now, it's still remaining with us. Those reforms, we are still working on them. And by the grace of God, when it is carried out and well, spelled out and articulated, it will be laid and then it will be passed. All right then, Honorable David Ogewu, Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Army. Thank you so much for your time tonight on Politics Tonight, and I look forward to more conversations with you. Thank you so much. Please have a great evening. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's go on a short break, and when we return, we'll turn our attention to developments in the PDP. Please stay with us.